that is going to be public-private partnerships. That's going to be an essential part of any of these solutions, as we all know. And that's kind of the theme for the evening, I think, in many ways, is how we can foster public-private partnerships to help bring improvements to the care of cancer patients and people suffering in Africa. So I'm basically here just as a kind of master of ceremonies. My name is Jim Garrity. I'm on the board of BioVentures for Global Health, which is one of our hosts here tonight, and I'm a longtime friend and fan of BIOS, which is our other host. And we're here with the representatives of the Biden administration Cancer Moonshot Program, and we'll introduce all of them to say hello and recognize a few other distinguished guests along the way. So the first thing I'm going to do is simply turn it over to Rachel King, a longtime friend who it's a real pleasure and privilege to be here with, and the interim president and CEO of BIO.
Thank you, Jim, and I want to extend to everyone a very warm welcome to the Biotechnology Industry Organization. We're so glad that you're here. We're honored to have a group of this caliber here at the BIO offices, so thank you all for coming. For those of you who are not familiar with BIO, we are the largest biotechnology advocacy organization in the world. We have over 1,000 members, companies in the United States primarily, but from around the world. And we advocate for policies that support innovation, as well as supporting access to all of the therapies that are being developed by our members. So both innovation and affordable access, these are both very important issues to us. We are also supporters of the Cancer Moonshot. We want to thank Catherine Young for being here with us tonight from the White House. Thank you for joining us. We also want to recognize Bonnie Jenkins, Undersecretary of State, who's joined us here as well, so thank you for being here. Among our talented and illustrious guests, we are especially grateful to have you two here. I also want to note that we couldn't succeed without our allies and collaborators, and we want to recognize the organizations that are co-sponsoring the event with us tonight. I want to recognize BioVentures for Global Health, and Jennifer, thank you for everything that you've done to lead that. I also want to recognize the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority. We have a number of people here from there. We have Farouk Mohammed Bonel, who's here tonight. We also have Amina Umar Sadiq. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Also from Nigeria, we have Dr. Zainab Bagudu. Dr. Bagudu, thank you very much for joining us. We are very delighted to have you here. She is the First Lady of the state of Nigeria. She's also the founder and CEO of Medicaid Center Foundation and has been an advocate for patients and for cancer care. We really appreciate your support and your being here with us tonight. So as we move forward, the relationships between BIO and the global world, and Africa in particular, are very important. We want to continue to advance our collaboration with people and with scientists, with entrepreneurs within the African continent. We're a proud supporter of Africa Bio and of the Bio-Africa Convention. Because we want to continue to support and to build these ties, I want to announce tonight that we're formalizing a program to increase the exchange of ideas and talent by recognizing that we will be able to give some free partnering passes and support to people coming from Africa. We will select a number of entrepreneurs and scientists each year who are coming to our convention, and we will provide free partnering passes and support in the lead up to that convention, which we hope will open doors to greater collaboration between scientists and entrepreneurs here and in Africa. So in conclusion, thank you all for coming. It's really wonderful to have you here. It's an honor. Thank you for the work that you're doing in building collaborations between the U.S. and Africa and in fighting cancer. We really appreciate all of you.
Thank you, Rachel. I might just add, I think Rachel is a little modest. I know Rachel's a little modest. And for those of you who don't know BIO, BIO is the largest biotechnology organization in the world. The Bio Convention, which Rachel mentioned, which will be held in June, actually in Boston, which is my hometown, so we'll put in a plug for that as well. But the Bio Convention is the largest gathering of people working in biotechnology in the world. It brings together people from all sectors. I think many people here are interested in connecting more with industry and understanding how the biotechnology and pharmaceutical industries can help advance the causes we're all serving. And if you're interested in those connections, Rachel and the BIO team can provide more connections than any other group you'll meet with. So I encourage you to follow up with Rachel as to developing those relationships, and her team, which is here as well. It's a particular pleasure for me to introduce as our next speaker, Dr. Catherine Young, who Rachel mentioned. I think we've all followed the Cancer Moonshot. I think we've all admired the Cancer Moonshot since Vice President Biden initiated it, however many years ago that was, and all hoped that it would come to fruition, and many of us, it's a nonpartisan event, but I can say many of us were thrilled when President Biden became president and when the Cancer Moonshot became an initiative of the White House. And Catherine, we're thrilled to have you here with us tonight to say a few words on behalf of that program.
Good evening, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all. I would first like to thank BIO for hosting us tonight in this really beautiful space, and a special thank you to Jennifer Dent and BioVentures for Global Health for all the work that you and your team did to bring us all together here tonight. As many of you know, the President and First Lady reignited the Cancer Moonshot in February and set ambitious but very achievable goals. The first is to reduce the death rate by cancer by at least 50% over the next 25 years, and to improve the experience of people and their families living with and surviving cancer, ultimately ending cancer as we know it. They called for everyone to do their part, including federal agencies and departments, private companies, healthcare providers, patient groups, philanthropies, and more. And while the immediate goals are domestic, the ambitions of the Cancer Moonshot extend far beyond the borders of the United States, especially as the burden of cancer falls heavily to lower and middle income countries where 80% of the global cancer deaths occur. For decades, the United States has partnered with African nations to meet shared health challenges, working together to invest billions of dollars and ultimately saving countless lives. However, despite much progress, non-communicable diseases like cancer are now estimated to lead all causes of death across the African continent. In fact, a new Lancet Oncology Commission for Sub-Saharan Africa estimates that more than 1 million cancer deaths will occur per year in these countries by 2040. And while these statistics may not come as a surprise to anyone in this room, they are nevertheless unacceptable. No one country can solve the world's problems, but together we can build a better world. And that is why, as the Cancer Moonshot begins to broaden our scope, our international work is focused on equity and collaboration, increasing access to preventative services, screening, treatment, and care for everyone facing a cancer diagnosis and their families around the world. And together, we are already making great strides. Yesterday, the Cancer Moonshot announced over $300 million in programs and new initiatives by the U.S. government and the private sector who are committed to prevent, diagnose, and treat cancers across the African continent. They include support by the National Cancer Institute for new technological interventions, clinical trials developments, research centers, and the strengthening of institutional capacity for global cancer research. Funding for high-risk and high-gain cancer research projects by the Department of Defense. And Undersecretary Jenkins here today, a new investment from the State Department and the U.S. Department of Energy of $4 million to support the International Atomic Energy Agency Rays of Hope initiative to expand access to life-saving cancer radiotherapy treatments in countries in Africa. And this is just to name a few. Thank you for your support. And the private sector has stepped up too. Many of you in this room today. Initiatives included in yesterday's announcements include strengthening capacity and support for over 100 cancer centers across the African continent, providing access to medications while alleviating medicine shortages through collaboration, improving healthcare professional training in cancer care and prevention, procurement of linear accelerators to provide access to cancer care in some countries for the first time, building genomic registries to accelerate cancer research to uncover precision drug and diagnostic targets that will be effective in more diverse populations, and many initiatives to help achieve the World Health Organization's targets to eliminate cervical cancer. You will hear more about this work tonight, but if there is one thing that we have heard loud and clear, especially over the last few days here at the African Leaders Summit, it's that together we can make a difference. Thank you for your time tonight and your dedication to being a part of this global movement to end cancer as we know it. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. That was a remarkable series of initiatives, and I could tell from the reaction of the crowd here that people are very appreciative of the things that you and the team of the Cancer Moonshot are doing, and as you say, it's only the beginning, and we look forward to seeing many more things as the program advances. It's a privilege next to introduce one of our visitors who's leading this cause from the African continent, and I'm afraid I'm going to butcher this name because I can't actually even read it too clearly, but I know it's from someone from the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, which is one of the leading, as you know, institutions in Africa, providing funding in Nigeria, the largest country in Africa, for many innovative healthcare initiatives in cancer in particular. It's a pleasure to hear about those. Is it Aminu Umar Sadiq?
It is. Well done. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Very briefly, the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority is Nigeria Sovereign Wealth Fund, federation-owned investment entity that seeks to catalyze the country's capital for both commercial and social returns. I think I'm particularly pleased to be here because of the remarkable partnership that BIO and BVGH and USTD and ourselves have been able to jointly utilize to actually advance the fight for cancer in Nigeria. We have built what is a world-class oncology center in Lagos. We have spent the last 2 years retooling, ensuring that we optimize not only the operations, but also the capitalization structure, the training components, the patient delivery, all the different facets that actually make a cancer center effective. And with that in place now, I'm proud to say that we will now be proliferating what is a model for cancer delivery across the country. Over the next 18 months, we expect to set up 2 larger, more ambitious oncology centers across the country. And that is in large part because of the partnership of BVGH, BIO, as well as, quite frankly, the US government in general, not only providing a focus on hard infrastructure, but more importantly, that focus on the soft side of things, the training, the O&M, the knowledge transfer, the focus on data. And I think together we have been able to not only reduce the cost of world-class care in Nigeria, but truly begin to reverse that medical tourism that has been a scourge for frontier economies like ours. So I really want to use this opportunity to pay homage to what has been a fantastic collaboration, not only for NSIA as Nigeria's investment institution, but also, quite frankly, for the continent with Nigeria in the lead. So thank you very much.
You know, I know about some of those programs, and I know the impact that they're having, and we all know that sovereign investment authorities play a leading role around the world in advancing healthcare and development, and the fact that you're leading that effort in Nigeria is very much appreciated. It's a particular pleasure for me to introduce our next speaker, Jennifer Dent, who is the President and CEO of BioVentures for Global Health, whose board I serve on, and I have watched Jennifer over many years bring together many of the kinds of stakeholders in this room. I think to the degree that much of what we're talking about is trying to bring together the private sector and the biotechnology and pharmaceutical industries with leaders in Africa and people in Africa working to advance cancer care. I know that Jennifer and BVGH for the African Access Initiative, I've seen myself what wonderful work it's doing, and it's a true pleasure to introduce Jennifer.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you, everyone. It's been an incredible week here in DC with the African continent so well represented here. And holding this event at BIO's headquarters is particularly special for BVGH and for me because our organization was founded almost 20 years ago by the Biotechnology Innovation Organization with a vision to build public-private partnerships to improve and save lives in low and middle income countries. And as many of you know, as most of you know in this room, BDGH launched the African Access Initiative at the BIO International Convention in 2017. And that year, BIO hosted representatives from 26 African countries at the convention and at the Africa Pavilion that we were part of facilitating. We launched the African Access Initiative with 5 core strategic objectives: to expand access to high-quality U.S. FDA-approved cancer medicines in African countries, to strengthen healthcare infrastructure, to train oncology healthcare professionals working across the cancer patient pathway, to advance cancer research, and to amplify advocacy. I think most importantly, all of our activities within the African Access Initiative focus on the priorities that are conveyed to us by the governments and the hospitals and the oncology healthcare professionals that we work with in those countries. We're currently working in partnership in 7 countries and in more than 60 cancer hospitals. I'm also really honored and so pleased this evening to have our partners at the Nigeria Sovereign Investment Authority here with us. It's a special honor to have the chairman of NSIA, Mr. Farouk Mohammed Gamal, Aminu, who you've just heard speak, and the amazing Dr. Tolu, who's here with us. They've been a wonderful partner, and for anyone that hasn't had a chance to meet them, they have built and are leading probably the most advanced cancer center in sub-Saharan Africa, and they're going to be, and they're investing in additional cancer centers, and public-private partnerships are central to their model, as is the theme at this meeting. I'd also like to welcome Her Excellency, the First Lady of Kebbi State, Dr. Zainab Bagudu, who I think everyone here should know. She is an amazing cancer champion in Nigeria, but also across Africa. She's on the board of the Union for International Cancer Control, has many other roles, and she's just a huge advocate for improving cancer patient outcomes and women's outcomes for cancer in Nigeria and on the continent. In addition to the connection with BIO and NSIA, BDGH has had a history with the Biden Cancer Moonshot. It was in 2018 with when Vice President, now President Biden, held the Biden Cancer Summit. I think I was the only one at that summit speaking about cancer in Africa and how we could build public-private partnerships to change cancer as we know it in Africa. Dr. Jill Biden's messages yesterday with the First Lady's meeting in the morning were really inspiring to hear about the U.S. government's commitment and Dr. Biden and President Biden's commitment to taking the moonshot to Africa. I mean, that was particularly inspiring and exciting for me to hear the commitment at that level and to hear the voices of the First Ladies from so many African countries talking about how cancer is very high on their agenda and that they are going to use their platforms to really drive better treatment and access for cancer patients in their countries. I just want to highlight a few achievements that we've made through our African Access Initiative over the last years and some of our commitments moving forward. To date, we've delivered cancer medicines, all US FDA-approved medicines, to treat more than 4,000 cancer patients in our AAI countries, and we're committed to delivering medicines over the next 3 years to treat 10,000 more cancer patients. We've worked with local advocacy groups to develop campaigns to increase awareness and to help ease the patient's navigation to treatment in our countries. We've trained 5,000 healthcare professionals working in oncology, and we're going to train 5,000 more in the next 2 years. Additionally, we have funded 15 small research projects with support from Takeda Pharmaceuticals, and we are going to be launching 5 more research projects in the next year. And importantly, these research ideas and concepts all come from African oncologists and healthcare professionals. And I'd just like to also mention that in addition, we are training hospitals. We're building capacity to conduct international clinical trials. And our work through that program has been supported by Johnson & Johnson. And we've worked with many of the companies that are bio members on our African Access Initiative since it was launched. So we've made some progress, but there's a lot to do. And public-private partnerships will be critical, bio members will be critical. And I just want to thank, there's so many people here tonight that have been central to all of our activities and programs. Academics have been absolutely critical to all of our training programs. And so I want to thank so many friends and colleagues that are here tonight for allowing us to do the work that we do. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I have to say, I hope you all get to spend some time with Jennifer. I've been inspired truly by the spirit that Jennifer has brought to this, and everyone who knows her, I think, has been inspired by the passion and the commitment that she brings to doing this in the right way. And it's a wonderful example for all of us. So that concludes, I think, what I might call our formal remarks. But there are, in the spirit, there are so many, wonderful and distinguished people here that are worth getting to know, that there are a few others we'd like to recognize. So the first person I'd like to introduce is someone who's already been recognized, Her Excellency Dr. Zainab Bagudu, First Lady of Kebbi State, Nigeria, founder and CEO of the Medicaid Foundation. So Dr. Bagudu.
Blushing now. It's a pleasure to be here, and I congratulate the organizers, Bio, and SIA, my family, extended family, and Jennifer, my sister. It's been a long journey for us in the cancer advocacy space, and these are really exciting times. The things that we've been talking about for so many years, to see it come into fruition, and in a very active way. We talk about partnerships. I see some of our partners in the room, Chai, Roche, and so many of them. It's an honor to finally be able to see some of the faces behind a lot of credible programs that are going on in Africa. In Kebbi State, we've been able to build on these kind of partnerships to create better environments and better outcomes for our cancer patients. And now that it's a global initiative, there's so much more focus on it. Like, I believe it was Dr. Young that said earlier that right now we have over 500,000 cases, the mortality of cancer in sub-Saharan Africa. And from the reports and the statistics, we know that that's going to double, not by 2040, but by 2030. So unless we continue to intervene with these kind of partnerships, and that's what we've been doing in Kebbi, we have a costed cancer control plan, and building on that, we've been able with partnerships and funding, not just from partners, but from in-country, the government as well, and creating the right environments that has enabled our outcomes to improve. So it's all about working together as a team and ensuring that we do what is best for the cancer patients. The African continent might not be the highest funders in the room, but we do have our own resources. And for us to be able to bridge the equity gaps that we speak about, we must realize that there's a lot more that Africa can bring to the table beyond funding. Africa has the greatest burden of this disease, and so I'm glad that we're speaking to each other now and understanding how the programs go on. There have been programs, some of which I mentioned earlier, in Nigeria, where the work plans are so rigid, but by including our own opinions and the way it's going to work better, we've had better outcomes. For instance, in cervical cancer elimination, it was started in about 3 states in Nigeria, piloted, but by the time it came in and it was extended to 4 more states, with the input of the champions that are working and understand the local landscape better, we're seeing better results, and now the issue is how to continue to work with everyone. So like I said, funding is a problem, but it's not an insurmountable problem. With the right political will and the right partners in the room, we can mobilize the resources that we need. And I must commend the work that the NSI are doing for us in Nigeria. The Lutz Center is an exemplary one. For a country the size of Nigeria, we need at least 50 more. So I'll be looking forward to So thank you for the invitation and have a pleasant day.
Thank you, Dr. Bagudu, and thank you for bringing the patient into the room here with us and keeping the cause of the patient front and center in everything we do. So the next person I'd like to introduce is Pamela Barnes from Bristol Myers Squibb, one of our corporate partners here this evening. Pamela?
I think I will need the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
Well, good evening, everyone. I'm here on behalf of the Bristol Myers Squibb Foundation. And the foundation is an independent charitable organization aside from the Bristol Myers Squibb Corporation. And so the foundation engages partners to help patients access care and support care not only in the U.S., but China, Brazil, and 9 different countries in Africa. We have 3 main objectives for the Agreement Foundation: to improve community awareness at the community level, to strengthen healthcare system for provision of improved cancer care, and to add to the body of knowledge of lung cancer. And one of our great examples I'm going to give you is Global Hope. We have 2 representatives. Actually, the head of Global Hope is here, so if you can wave, that'll be wonderful. And if you have not stopped by and met them, I encourage you to do so before the evening is out. So launched 5 years ago, the Global Hope Initiative, which is hematology, oncology, and pediatric excellence, was launched. It was the first comprehensive effort to address the lack of diagnosis, treatment, and care in pediatric oncology in Southern and East Africa. And I'm proud to announce that last year this initiative reached a milestone, reaching 10,000 pediatric patients in less than 5 years. Global Hope has treatment and training. Global Hope has treatment and training centers in Botswana, Malawi, Tanzania, and Uganda. And just to give you some statistics on how successful this program has been in such a short amount of time, to date, in addition to treating 10,000 young patients and training 20 new pediatric oncology, the program has also trained more than 4,500 healthcare professionals. And yet there is still much more to be done. So thank you so much for your collaboration and your efforts here and for the invitation.
Thank you, Pamela. It's great to hear about that work and your role in it. So in the spirit of public-private partnerships, we're kind of alternating here. Having heard from Pamela, the next speaker is going to be Heather Lanigan, who is the Regional Director for Sub-Saharan Africa at the USTDA, the United States Trade and Development Agency. Heather?
Great. Well, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. It's been an amazing week in DC with so many of our African partners in town. And it's just a pleasure to be here amongst friends and partners and hopefully future partners. But for those that haven't worked with USTDA or the U.S. Trade and Development Agency, we work alongside U.S. industry to support the development of infrastructure projects in emerging markets. We work in sectors that are key to economic growth in our partner countries, but also sectors, of course, that are important to U.S. companies that could also have potential for U.S. commercial cooperation. healthcare infrastructure is an incredibly important area for USTDA, and I'm very proud to say in Sub-Saharan Africa, we just launched 2 nights ago the Coalition for Healthcare Infrastructure in Africa in partnership with 5 associations, US industry associations, because we believe together that it is healthcare demands partnership, needs partnership. We certainly look to expand our presence on the continent. But just to provide a little bit more context of how we work, we provide grant-based financing for project preparation, so feasibility studies, technical assistance, and pilot projects. And the goal of our work at the early stages is to help structure projects for financing. Very proud that we have some of our grantees here tonight, Moby Health, and it's just so exciting what we're seeing in Africa, from hospital and cancer care treatment centers in Nigeria to Moby Health, which looks to expand across the continent with amazing telehealth solutions. If you don't know Fumi, please get to know her tonight because she's going to change the world. Fumi, you are, absolutely. To regulatory discussions we're having in South Africa and beyond. We're really proud of our work that we're hosting in terms of grant project preparation, but also, as noted, partnership's so important to us. We also host reverse trade missions to the United States. We recently, in August, hosted a reverse trade mission from Nigeria and Senegal, including our friends from NSIA, to meet with US companies and to meet with like-minded partners from hospitals and facilities, to talk about trends and talk about how we can deepen our cooperation in areas of critical importance, including cancer care. And of course, we also host workshops and conferences to bring people together. So just share that USTDA is committed to healthcare infrastructure in Africa. We look forward to working with you, expanding our partnerships, and just thank you for this incredible opportunity to connect tonight. Thank you.
Well, I would say, Heather, on behalf of many people in the healthcare community and many Americans who are not here tonight, I think it's just thrilling to see the United States government, between the Cancer Moonshot and the USTDA, putting the resources of the American government behind these initiatives. There's nothing more powerful and nothing better to see. So now we'll go back to the private side. Our next speaker for a moment will be Catherine Villar, Vice President of Social Business Innovation at Merck & Company.
Hi everyone, it's great to be here with you tonight. My name is actually Carmen Villar. That's okay.
My apologies.
That's okay. And I oversee social business innovation at Merck, which is all of our ESG and social impact work for the enterprise. And I'm happy to be, we have been a longtime partner of BBGH. I've also lived and worked in Nigeria, in Abuja specifically, and have been part of the US government for a long time. So thank you, and thank you for all the great work you're doing, and to all the dignitaries here tonight, thank you. It's great to see you, new and old friends. Merck, as a company, or MSD as it might be known outside of the US and Canada, has had a long commitment to public-private partnerships in the world, in other countries, and in Africa in particular. If we think about our efforts to support the elimination of river blindness, if we think about our, now it's been 11 years since we committed to Merck for Mothers, or MSD for Mothers, to improve maternal mortality around the world, to current day projects where we are engaged with partners like the American Cancer Society, working on patient navigation for cancer patients in Kenya and Uganda. And we're also working very closely with City Cancer Challenge to work in 3 different African countries on developing local solutions to health systems or infrastructure challenges on the ground. So we have a lot going on, and it is a great company with a lot of great history. But what I've heard tonight from my colleagues, and just in the side conversations and from the presentations, is we have a lot more work to do. And as a company that has great oncology and vaccine products, I think we can bring these 2 efforts together in multiple different ways. On the ground, we know that in Sub-Saharan Africa, about 1/3 of the deaths related to cervical cancers happen in Sub-Saharan Africa, while the region only represents 14% of the female population. That is a travesty. But we can do something about that, and together we can have a greater impact. We can look at infrastructure challenges, as we've all been talking about tonight. We can partner with each other, again, as we've all been talking about tonight. But what we really have to do is ensure that women and people with cancer can get access to the important drugs and services and high quality care that they deserve and they need. So I'm excited to be here with you tonight to meet so many of you doing this great work, and I look forward to all that we can accomplish together. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen. And I think probably everybody in this room knows about Merck's work in helping to eradicate river blindness. For any who don't, it's one of the truly inspiring examples of corporate and partnership in helping to eradicate disease in Africa, and a shining example for all of us, so thank you. So now we're going to ask a couple of people who I'm going to mention just to say a few words. The first person is Dr. Satish Gopal, the Director of the Center for Global Health at the National Cancer Institute. Dr. Gopal? Oh, okay, so, well, we'll thank Dr. Gopal for her work, but I think she's not here this evening, okay? Thank you. Well, the next person I know is here because I'm looking at him, Peter. Dr. Peter Kingham, who is the Director of Global Cancer Disparities Initiatives at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York. And I've seen Peter in Africa, and I know how widely respected and admired he is there. So, Peter, it's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much to our three hosts tonight for inviting me and hosting all of us. I'm a cancer surgeon in New York City and also lead our Global Disparities Program, which is based mostly on a partnership in Nigeria. This year, Sloan Kettering published an article that got quoted all around the world. In 5 to 10% of colorectal cancer patients in the US, they have the genetic signature that means you are eligible for immunotherapy. And the publication was that every patient had 100% response and didn't need surgery, which is really radical. Now, working with our collaborators in Nigeria, based out of the African Research Group for Oncology, which is about 25 Nigerian centers, this Nigerian-led study showed that 25 to 30% of Nigerian patients have this genetic signature, not 5 to 10% like we have here in the US. So that means that almost a third of Nigerian patients are eligible for immunotherapy, and unfortunately, with standard chemotherapy, they're usually resistant to it. So I think tonight is a perfect setting for, on behalf of my colleagues in Nigeria and us at Sloan Kettering, to pledge in 2023, we want to launch a first-of-its-kind immunotherapy trial in sub-Saharan Africa for patients that are eligible for immunotherapy. We hope that this will open up a new, much improved treatment and allow for equitable access to cancer care for Nigerian patients who need this drug, but also more importantly, even beyond Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that. It's a landmark piece of work and another great example. So the next person I'm going to introduce is Dr. Carlos Rodriguez Galindo, who is the Executive Vice President and the Chair of the Department of Global Pediatric Medicine at St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. Dr. Rodriguez Galindo?
Expecting this, but thank you very much. So, well, I can share the voice together with BMS and Global Hope of the childhood cancer community. The childhood cancer community is a oftentimes forgotten community, but it's a very important community. Just in Africa every year, approximately 140,000 children develop cancer. Only half of them are diagnosed. And of those that get diagnosed, only 20% of them survive. So every year, more than 120,000 children with cancer die in Africa. And so it's important that all of us, our community, come together to really make sure that all childhood cancer initiatives are incorporated into national cancer control plans. And I thank all of you for keeping that in mind. There are many initiatives. You have heard about the Global Hope Initiative. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, through the St. Jude Global Initiative, also has a comprehensive approach, working with many governments and institutions across Africa. And then there is the World Health Organization that has put together the Global Initiative for Childhood Cancer that we at St. Jude and many other partners have helped lead. And so to that, then we have to add all the initiatives that the governments have put together jointly with the Global Initiative for Childhood Cancer, the WHO, Texas Children, BMS, St. Jude, and many others. And many African countries are working on this. And finally, I just want to mention that also St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, together with the World Health Organization and with UNICEF, are putting together the global platform for access to medications that will facilitate access to free medications to countries with limited resources, hopefully launching in about a year. And I think that over the next 5 years, about 120,000 children around the world will benefit from free access to essential medicines. And a great part of these patients actually will be in Africa. So I look forward to sharing more of that in the next year. So thank you very much for all
Thank you very much for those comments. And the last speaker we're going to introduce tonight is Dr. Taufik Alwankoko, who is the Division Chief of Hematology and Oncology at the Hillman Cancer Center. Dr. Alwankoko.
Good evening, everyone. Really honored to be here, and it's good to see the whole of this public-private partnership move forward. I actually met Jennifer about 4 or 5 years ago randomly because I was looking for help for a patient in Nigeria, and called me because I was leading a trial at Emory. And she didn't even know I was from Nigeria. I was just talking, and it's like, by the way, are you by any chance from Nigeria? And I said, of course, yes. Is there anything you can do to help us? I said, why not? Why would I say no to anything like that? And since then, she's really been an inspiration to a lot of things that I've done in my career here in the US. I've been in the US for the past 24 years. It's really been worthwhile to know Jennifer and everything that she's doing and she continues to do. I moved to Pittsburgh last year, and actually one of the reasons I moved there was the possibility that UPMC International would have a presence in Nigeria. In fact, in my ask list, one of the things I asked for is, how do we get UPMC International to have a location in Nigeria? And the immediate answer I got was, it's not impossible, but it's not going to happen now. So if you want it to happen, you have to work for it. And that's actually part of what I've been really spending my free time doing. I'm happy to actually share with this audience that University of Pittsburgh will be supporting a trial in Nigeria. In January, we are all going there to start that with Lagos University Teaching Hospital, where the university is going to be investing more than $100,000. This is going to be sickle cell disease to start with, but this is really our first effort to show that we can do clinical trials there. And with what Peter has already announced, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to pull together. There's a lot of people that are really, really invested in this type of effort, and I think doing it together is the only way for us to make a significant impact in the overall burden of disease on the continent. So thank you again, BBGH, Bio International, and everybody for being present, and for the NSIA team for hosting the event. Thank you all.
That concludes our remarks. I hope everyone will stay and have a glass of wine and mingle and network and get to know each other and foster some of these collaborations. Before we have a glass of wine, I'm going to turn on behalf of the organizers, Rachel King at Bio and Catherine Young at the Cancer Moonshot. And at Cancer Moonshot, I think we all owe a great debt of thanks for facilitating and energizing this kind of event, and Rachel for hosting it. Jennifer, as the catalyst, I'm going to give you the last word.
Again, I thank you everyone for being here. It's just wonderful to see so many friends and colleagues. I want to thank Catherine and Danielle at the Cancer Moonshot team for all of the work they've done this week, which has been a lot. And also Rachel, the CEO of Bio, and her team here at Bio for actually pulling this event together very quickly. It was a bit of an inspiration that we had, and I think it's just fantastic that we were able to host this here at Bio, because as I said, it's got a very special place for BBGH. And we really, as we heard from Peter, Nigeria, Africa wants innovation, and there are opportunities for that. So we're just thrilled to have everyone here from across sectors to talk about partnerships. So everyone, please enjoy a glass of wine, a glass of water, and the rest of the evening just to get to know each other a little bit more.